Remember all that shit people was talking about? Oh, he went down. Remember all that shit people was talking about how we just don't know who Charles Martin is, including myself. Second round knockout. Anthony Joshua is your new IBF heavyweight champion of the world at 16-0 with 16 KOs. Charles Martin down hard. Two straight right hands down the pipe. Second round. And we're going to wait and see what Anthony Joshua has to say. I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. Anthony Joshua is dangerous, man. Right now, I got to be honest with you. Like what we see from him, he beats Deontay Wilder. I don't know about Tyson Fury yet because Tyson Fury has that mobility. He has that movement. He has that punch variety to where all of the opponents that Anthony Joshua has fought, and I'm not taking credit away from this win, all the opponents that he has fought hasn't been mobile, agile opponents. We're waiting to see the post-fight interview. British boxing, what I've learned is bigger than American boxing right now. I got to be honest with you, especially with Mayweather and Pacquiao. Pretty much out the door. To see that arena over there and to see all those fans there for a guy who just started fighting 2 years ago, and to see how hyped this fight was, like as far as the build up, even me, an American fan, and not too much of a big Charles Martin fan, I felt like goosebumps, like once Anthony Joshua came out to More Money, More Problems, and then, I even started to think like, oh shit, Charles Martin may have a real chance to win. But then that was me getting caught up in the moment because he came out with his whole King Booker T, thing on, and right now it just looks like Charles Martin is just levels below Anthony Joshua. If Anthony Joshua is A, B plus A level fighter, he made Charles Martin look like he was C level at best. Charles Martin, from the opening bell, just didn't know what to do. He just seemed lost. Even when it came to the jab, it was non-existent. He just seemed to be, I don't want to say scared. I don't want to say nervous. It's just that skills pay the bills. Skills pay the bills. Now things get really interesting because when it comes to the IBF is the strictest of all the sanctioning bodies. When it comes to the WBC, the WBA, the WBO, the IBF don't fuck around. You fight your mandatories or they will strip you, as Carl Froch, as Tyson Fury, as Kell Brook while he's fighting JoJo Dan and Frankie goddamn Gavin. So it's going to be interesting to see where Anthony Joshua goes, right, like where he goes from here. Because I'm sure Eddie Hearn must have known that, okay, well, once you win this title, it's no more easy fights here on out. So this guy's a bona fide pay-per-view star right now. And I'm pretty much sure this pay-per-view over in the UK did somewhere around 800 to a million buys. And yes, the pay-per-views in the UK are about $30 cheaper than they are in the United States. But I'm watching them celebrate. This is really something big because, as I was saying, will Anthony Joshua go after maybe a unification? Because sometime within a year, unless it's a unification, he's going to have to fight the winner of Carlos Takam and Joseph Parker. And if Joseph Parker is watching this fight, then he better take some fucking notes because Joseph Parker's good. But right now, Anthony Joshua's just looking like he's just on another level. As far as Charles Martin is concerned, you got to give him credit for, at this point in time in his career, winning the title the way he did and then going straight in for the money fight. Al Heyman, of course, his advisor, manager, I guess they probably figured, well, listen, when it comes to the IBF, you're going to have to fight one of these tough fights anyway. Let's get this big money fight right now, and see where we can place you from here. Because right now, Charles Martin can get some good fights, not nowhere near as big as this. But I wouldn't be surprised, if I'd see a Deontay Wilder versus a Charles Martin, I wouldn't be surprised knowing the opponents that Charles Martin has fought. I wouldn't be surprised to see a very makeable fight with Charles Martin versus a Bermane Stiverne, or Charles Martin versus a Malik Scott, or Charles Martin versus a Dominic Breazeale, which was on the table, or Charles Martin versus the winner of Eddie Chambers and a Gerald Washington. So we want to hear what Anthony Joshua has to say. As I said, I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Facebook. Mostly, I'm on Twitter. I'm going to be back on Facebook. I'm moving. Also, I'm getting a nice little office for myself, and I'm going to get back to a daily boxing video routine. I haven't been covering boxing.
We went 2 rounds. Hopefully, I can go back to the change room, do some pads, and I've got to keep on improving. But we got people like Hay calling me out, Tyson Fury calling me out, all of them. So this is what we want to see. So I need to improve if I'm going to maintain and keep on pushing at a higher level.
You said earlier in the week that to beat the atmosphere of the Olympic Games, to beat the atmosphere of the Dillian Whyte fight, they have to go a long way. Does this top it tonight?
100%. Every fight gets better and better and better. The people here are amazing. As I said, 99.9% of these people are coming out supporting myself and all the other British fighters on the undercard, win, lose or draw. So big respect to you lot. And you know I come to knock people out. I just want to give value for money. You know what I mean? And I really, really do appreciate you lot, because there was times when we were training in Fiji ABC, no one cared, and I've been grinding my way here, and I just appreciate the ongoing support time and time again.
Your 15th win inside 3 rounds. Do you believe there's a heavyweight out there at the moment that can stand up to your power?
Every heavyweight's got power. Every heavyweight's got power. But it's just about speed and precision, and it's just about locking in and staying focused. A few months back, I was in here with Dylan having a great scrap. That was one for the fans. This was one for myself. I told you that I was going to come out and punish him. I'll show him levels. I told you I'll show him levels. And this is the reward. This is just the reward of it.
Was there any fear of the unknown against Charles Martin? Because we didn't really know how good he was.
And it's interesting because there'll probably be some negativity that Charles Martin was easy and so on, but you know, a few days ago he was this big, dangerous southpaw. I ain't fought no southpaws. But the danger is his southpaw stance, the fact that he's champion that gives him confidence, and the fact that he was willing and brave enough to come to the UK into the Lions Den. So that says a lot about Charles Martin. So big respect to him.
You got to give him credit for going to the UK.
About you before tonight, there will be now.
Listen, regarding all the hype and stuff, as I said, I stay tucked away in the gym, and that's facts. And when I'm not, I'm probably in Asda, IKEA, or whatnot, just do the usual things. And then, all the hype is good for everyone in boxing. Everyone in boxing, not just myself. So keep on embracing it. Everyone get behind every boxer, not just myself. Keep on pushing the sport. Eddie Hearn's doing a great job. Sky's doing a great job.
I think Eddie Hearn should get
Keep on following the sport, and all of us. Keep on supporting us while we're here.
Promoter of the Year.
That belt makes you a target though for every other heavyweight in the world. Are you ready for that?
Nah, Golden Boy Promotions.
Now since last year, so it's nothing unusual. I'm gonna keep on grinding. I'm gonna keep on working hard. And once we step in this ring, trust you, trust me. I'll be ready. I'll be ready.
Let's bring in your promoter, Eddie Hearn. Eddie,
Watch how Eddie Hearn finesse this shit. You know he's a smooth, slick-talking jiver.
Every single person here tonight, he made his debut in this arena. He won the British title in this arena, the Commonwealth title in this arena, and then tonight he became heavyweight champion of the world in the other two. So I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight personally.
Where will we have him at next?
Listen, this guy is the most humble sportsman you could ever meet. He's just won the heavyweight championship of the world. It looks like he's just won a 4-rounder. This is only the beginning. He's got aspirations to unify all the belts, and he will. We've got a little something planned for probably July the 9th, maybe in the National Stadium at Wembley. So get ready for that.
They're getting him back quick.
He's going to go for everybody. But I'll tell you what, Britain should be very, very proud. And I said before this fight, the sport has got a chance now with a role model that can transcend the sport to the casual audience that young people can look up to. Anthony Joshua won the Olympic Heavyweight Championship, the British Heavyweight Championship, and tonight he won the World Heavyweight Championship. This man's going to go on to be a real quality sport.
So Eddie Hearn's not saying nothing.
What's your that night in Manchester that night?
Eddie Hearn's not saying nothing. So, according to Eddie Hearn, Anthony Joshua's going to be back July the 9th, maybe July the 9th. That's pretty quick for a world champion. Here's the thing. When it comes to the IBF, as I was talking about earlier in the video, you have to fight somebody ranked in the top 15 of the IBF heavyweights. Now, the IBF heavyweight rankings at this point in time is a little bit funky because, for example, they don't have updated rankings for the month of March. And the last rankings for February had the number 1 and number 2 slot empty. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read off the IBF rankings for you so we can talk about who potential opponents for Anthony Joshua could be. So let's go to, as I said, for March is not updated. So you have to go to February. When will they update it? I don't know. So we're going to talk about who he could possibly fight. Now, as I said, the last IBF rankings, the number 1 and number 2 slot were empty. Number 3 is Erkan Taper, who is dealing with some steroid issues. I don't believe he's going to be in the next rankings. Anthony Joshua, Carlos Takam, Anthony Joshua won the title, so therefore you go to number 5, and number 6 is Joseph Parker, Carlos Takam. Of course, the winner of that is the mandatory Voyaslav Glaskov, who is injured. Kubrat Pulev, Derek Chisora, both of them are fighting each other for a potential shot at Anthony Joshua in the future. Andy Ruiz, top-ranked fighter, Bermane Stiverne, Robert Helenius, but we don't know, since Robert Helenius lost last week, we don't know if he's going to be in the IBF rankings going forward. You got David Haye, you got Dominic Breazeale, and Gerald Miller. Now, of course, they're going to add about 3 more or so names to the IBF rankings. But let's talk about, like big fights for Anthony Joshua. You got the David Haye fight out there. David Haye wants to fight. It'll be a super massive fight over there, but will Eddie Hearn make it this year? Will Eddie Hearn make that fight in the near future? Because, for example, it's a high risk, really low reward. Of course, you'll make a lot of money, but David Haye is just a name. He don't have any titles or anything. Could he possibly go after the winner of Alexander Povetkin versus Deontay Wilder? That would be a huge super fight, but in order for it to happen, to be a huge super fight, Deontay Wilder would have to beat Alexander Povetkin, and Deontay Wilder would have to fight over in the UK. I don't believe that it would do very good if Anthony Joshua fought Deontay Wilder in the United States, and I don't think that Deontay Wilder is going to travel to Russia and fight Alexander Povetkin if he wins, and then travel to the UK to fight Anthony Joshua. Then you got Tyson Fury. Now, if Tyson Fury gets past Vladimir Klitschko, I'm saying that he should fight Anthony Joshua. But here's the thing. Tyson Fury and the IBF got some beef. Tyson Fury doesn't want to hold an IBF title again. And if I'm correct, he said allegedly, no, if I'm correct, he did say in an interview that if he won the IBF title, he would piss on it and then throw it in the trash. So I don't know if the IBF would sanction that. But I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. I'm going to be back on a consistent schedule starting in mid-May-ish or so. So just hang in there. I'm going to be pumping out videos. Of course, I'm covering Mayweather versus Pacquiao versus Bradley 3. And I'm going to pump up some more videos. T Street Controversy Live.